All right, so welcome to the exchange. So, first and foremost, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just here to give you my opinion on what I see in the stock markets. Looking to the left to see what has happened, then looking to the right to see what may happen. Do your own due diligence. Make sure you invest money in things you know about. If you don't know, invest in yourself and learn. That's the best way you can make money out here and have some security in these markets. So, let's look at what happens to stock markets so we can get a better idea and some security in exchange. Welcome to the Exchange Show. All right, welcome back to another week of the Exchange. And here we're going to be going over some of the things we looked at last week, which is some of the tickers. We're starting out with Carnival Cruise Lines. So, Carnival Cruise Lines is doing almost what we expected so far. There is a question right now if this area right here is going to continue down, at least to about here. So, we're going to put a little mark right here. That's about the next level of, let's say, resistance. Let's go and put that in. There we go. And I would like to see this go all the way back down to the $10.39 mark. I would like to buy Carnival at that point. But at this point, I'm looking for at least to get to the $14.79 area. So that's a recap on what happened so far since last week. Carnival did continue down, so let's see if it's going to continue with that. So today we're going to have one area where we're going to be talking specifically about crypto. But first, let's go into Western Union and see if that is doing anything as well. All right, so let's get this over here, make it a little bit bigger, and let's move some things. So right now we are currently in that consolidation area. So let's do one of these and move all those drawings. So what's happening right now is we see higher highs and higher lows. Are we going to continue up until we get to about this area here? That would be about $13.19. That would give us right where that supply zone is also a resistance, and that would give us a breakup of this institutional candle right here, and that's what we're looking for. We're going to play that institutional candle. Currently we are moving up in strength in the market, but is it going to be enough to get us to the $13.19 area, or at least to this supply zone? So we're still waiting to see there, but once again we are still going for some higher highs and higher lows. And if we look, we're keeping with this trend line we just drew. So let's get rid of some of these right here. We already know we're looking for it to go up. So let's just see, is it going to go to the supply zone? Fingers crossed, right? Let's see. Now, next one we're going to talk about. This was our penny stock. This was Laser, aka this is Luminar Technologies. So this one was a very beat down stock, and it is continued to be beat down. So we had a trend line on the inside. Now we have one on the outside. It's back in this area. Let's do something else. Let's get rid of these trend lines here and here. All right. And since we're in the weekly, let's do something else. Let's do a channel here. And there. All right. So if we're looking at this, we broke out of the channel. We came back. Are we going to retest this $2.36 area? It looks like at this point we are still going down. If we do test that $2.36 area, that is going to be a divergent. Yeah, that's going to be divergent based on the strength of the market or the RSI indicator. So at this moment, this going down, this candle, if it stops at $2.36, we're looking for it to pop back up. That will be with a divergent look in the weekly time frame. So let's just put that in there. We got divergence and the weekly. So, and that is bullish divergence. My apologies. Make sure we know that too. Bullish for Laser, aka Luminar. So if you're looking for a penny stock, this may be a stock for you to look at. Remember, do your own due diligence. Make sure you're doing your charting every day. Practice makes perfect. So we did Carnival, we did Luminar, we did Western Union. Let's catch up on HUT. Let's see what HUT did this week. All right, so this week we have more of that continuation. All right, so we had a very good week going down. So the reason I'm saying good week going down, if you are able to play options on these, then it doesn't matter which way it goes, as long as you are in the right direction. That's all that matters. So at this moment, we are at $9.90. Is this going to come back down to $9.01 or $9 even? It might. We may start to see that move up that we were looking at to complete this head and shoulders pattern. So if we get 1 week where this comes down, taps this area, and then moves up, that may take us right back up here to this $12 area, to a continuation down to the $6 area. So HUT, I mean, these the cryptos you got to be careful with, because they just got some information approved this week, and you already know what that's about. Those ETFs have had a big impact on the crypto market. So let's look at one. I'm actually interested in Riot. I had some earlier this year. I sold out of my position when it topped out around this area right there, around $15 and change. And yeah, I let go of some money, but I was happy with that. I'm cool. So here we go. We now have this very bearish candle. Now, to me, it looks like it's going to bounce here at the earnings of the previous, what was this, November. I'm hoping that it does. I would like to play this as an option. But if it doesn't, say if you're looking at this another way, you may be looking at this as, well, what if it's a head and shoulders? So if we have this, would this be able to bounce probably, let's say, to about here and then come down, and then maybe further down? So is that going to be what happens? This is the thing. You got to wait and see. But if I'm looking at it, the strength of the market I mean, it's technically still in a buy area. I can still buy it at this point. This could be a very good pullback, but I would like to see it come down to about here and bounce. That way I would be more confident in seeing it. But with this candle right here, it's extremely bearish. I mean, it's got a lot of rejection on the top for the week. All of it closed at a flat. So I'm going to have to wait for Riot. I got to wait and see what happens. If it's going to complete that head and shoulders, I mean, great. I would love to do a put on it. If it's going to be for the long term, I still would like to see it come down to about $7, because that's where I would like to do a buy, if you can see, in a buy zone for a long-term hold. Okay, so that's what we covered over last week. This week, let's look at some of these. And I know one thing you're going to want to cover. People have been talking about SoFi, so let's look at SoFi. All right, so SoFi, I've done a lot of charting on this a long time ago. I'm looking for it to literally come back down anywhere from the $7.45 to $6.91. That's where I'm looking at it to come to. The reason being is it has two things: a demand zone and earnings. I love looking at the earnings areas because they give you really good places to enter and exit. Usually price action will come to there, go back, and then go back up. Now, if you're looking at this price action over the weeks, you'll notice it just went up and down. Is this going to be a V pattern completing here, completing around this area somewhere, just to go back up? We got to see, because we have not really figured out what's going on with the financials. So a lot of the financial sector has been going down. Look at that on like FinViz. You'll notice that financials have been going down over the last couple of days. So that's SoFi. Let's look at one more. So let's look at the travel sector. So let's look at United Airlines. United Airlines is what I'm looking at as well. The reason being is it's been in a pretty good downtrend. Now, this is the last strongest move around this area, these candles here. I'm looking at this because these, it looks like these were the last really big push to go down. Now, at this point, when I got to this candle here, I noticed that, all right, this is it. It looks like it's bottoming out in the weekly. As it's going up, was this actually a bear flag? Because this is now going up, but now I have a very strong rejection candle for the week. I would love to see this go further down, at least to about the, let's say about here, $32.31. From there, I would probably do a play to go bullish at that point, because it seems like when it hits this area, 1, 2, 3, and a lot here, it get a large bounce going up, so into a bullish thing. So let's say uh, enter for calls there. There we go. And then I would just enter for calls to the 40. Let's do even numbers. So I like 40, or I don't know, let's go for 50. You can't go wrong with 50, and that way your plays will be cheaper. That'll be up here. That's cool. So let's say for 40 and 50. There we go. And we'll take those far out, make a lot of money if we can. Next one. We're going to stay in the travel sector for a little bit. Everybody likes to cruise. Guess what? I love cruising too. So let's do NCL. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? And there you are, Norwegian. All right. So one thing you'll notice about Norwegian is doing about the same thing. It's still breaking down. Now, let's look at this. As we look right about here, we're going to do a line there. 1, 2. We're looking for a third touchdown here at $11. At $11, this would be, you can say this is a double top pattern. So this topped at this area pretty much once, and it got up here, didn't make it all the way, but this is 1, 2. It looks like we're going to get a M pattern. So M. Is it going to be a continuance down to here, or this area here, which would be about $12 and 30 something cents? So let's say right there. Are we going to get this? This is what I would look for. At this moment, though, I am seeing that it may be crossing over this moving average here. So if it crosses, I would look for it to go down at least to about that $12 and 30 something cents. So let's do a right there. So yeah, about 1250, 1230. I'm looking for that area. That's what I would look for if I'm doing a put. If I'm doing a call, I'll wait for a bounce from that area. But we're not done. There's more. There's more. So on this watch list, we're going to cover the thing everybody's been talking about. Everybody's been talking about this week the spot ETFs for Bitcoin. So if we're talking about those, then you have to start with them. Everybody knows about Kathy. So let's talk about Kathy. ARKB. There we go. So here it is. This is all you got. This is all you got. This is the weekly view. So it's only been out for a couple of days, 2 days. Excuse me. So you have no information on it. All you can say is that, hey, let's go down to an hour. It's in a downtrend. Okay? So this is what it is in an hour. Let's look at the other big ones. So ARKB is from ARK Invest. You also have, this is the one a lot of people paid attention to. Yeah, my bad. There we go. So this is the Bitcoin Trust. All right, same thing. We're looking at it in the hour because it's only been open 2 days. This is from who? Everybody's favorite, BlackRock. All right, so in the hour, this actually gives us some information. Okay, so what can we do? We're going to do some of that. We're going to look there. That's it. That's all I can tell you. After that, you have another area here. It may just bounce around. But usually when you will get introduced to a new ETF or a new stock, is always a sell-off in the beginning. Price breaks down. It gives you some history, some information, and then you can make choices based off of that. So there's another one. Yes, another one. So if you want a ETF that's based off of Bitcoin, but you want some history on it, so you have one here. One of them, of course, is BITO. Now, get out of here. BITO. Of course, this is ProShares. So this one has history. So we're going to go on the weekly. And if you notice, there was a gap in this area, which is no longer valid. It has been filled. There is a gap down here between the $19.95 and $19.41. So at this point in the weekly time frame, are we going to be seeing a breakdown? Because there's a lot of gaps going further down. There's gaps all the way down, let's say a major gap down to $16 range. But we have some really good resistance around $17.80 something cents. But here we go. I'm sorry, I meant support down here at $17.80, $17.79. We have a big resistance up here at $23.71. If you look right here, you'll see we have a very bearish candle that appeared right there. Look at that wick for a weekly candle. That's a huge rejection wick. So it was down a lot. So currently at the price of $21.06, is it going to at least fill the gap that is at the 19 or say $20 range down to the $19.45 range? And if it does fill that gap, will it bounce back up? Currently, you're in an uptrend. But the mining companies for Bitcoin, keep an eye on those. The ETFs for Bitcoin, keep an eye on those as well, because the introductions of these ETFs has changed the market. So look at the price action of Bitcoin. See how that's going before the halving event that's coming up in the next couple of months. You want to be able to make money off of this. So the next thing we want to look at is Grayscale. This is the last ticker we're looking at today in the exchange, so GBTC, and then we're going to make sure that we take a look at this one because this also has history and it gives us more information. Why? Because it gives you earnings. So I love looking at earnings when I'm looking at a stock or an ETF or a ticker, whatever. So the reason being is I can gauge where this may come. So I'm going to put oh, that's lovely there, and then we're going to do, no, not that one. Get rid of that. We're going to do one of these, and then we're going to do this. So at this moment, we have a lot of, here we go. We got a lot of information that's going to help us look at this particular stock or ETF. And this is Grayscale. And if you've noticed, it's at $38 and change. So what happens is this. You're going to see a lot of information coming out over the next couple of weeks about Bitcoin. Your job is to make sure you investigate and do your due diligence to make sure anything you hear is actually legitimate. It doesn't matter who you hear from, but I'm just going to look at this and say this is currently at the top of its range. Another huge rejection candle. And that came from where? The $43 range. So at this point, I'm going to look over and see, here we go. Why is that important? Because right here, we had a huge rejection as well the last time it got up here. And that was at the $38.29 range. When it got here, $41, huge rejection area. So we have a lot of areas here and we have history. So if you're looking for history on how Bitcoin ETFs may go, look at the Grayscale one. It gives you more things you can go off of. Right now, it looks at the top of the range to me, but do your due diligence, let me know. That's what we got for the exchange this week. We're doing some quick charting, nothing too complicated. But if you really want to get into it, we just pick a very, very few handful of stocks to go into because this can take a long time. So there you go. Welcome to the exchange. Once again, we'll see you next week.